Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Midnight's Edge After Dark. Heard WNBC. I'm in the morning here. How you doing, everybody? I still got my raspy, deep, sexy voice going. So, I'm still working on that. I'm Rob Robot Shlomo coming to you from Shabby Road Studios in the heart of the 79th safest city in America. That's an actual service statistic. You can look that up. With me, as always, Mr. Tom Connors.
What are the other 78 now? Is mine in there?
I don't know, but actually, we actually have the third worst commute time in the state. California and Hawaii are the worst. So
there you go.
Hawaii,
yeah.
Hawaii.
I never even think about Hawaii having like roads.
I don't know.
I know it's bad, but
only state without interstate highways. Hawaii.
Yeah.
Which my brother Dave keeps coming up with as an interesting trivia question. I'm like, well, it was interesting the first 2-3 dozen times you asked it. Now it's.
Do they really need one though?
Interstate highways?
Yeah.
That'd be one long ass bridge.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was gonna say, don't you technically got to be touching another state for an interstate?
Yeah, that's kind of the caveat.
That was like my next point I was gonna get to.
Yeah.
But, did you introduce me or did I introduce you?
Yeah, well, Mr. coming as always, joining me is Mr. Tom Connors.
I am here. I am here. We are here.
You're here. You're queer. Get used to it.
So. I'm not sure on that. I don't think so. But.
And with us as always is the ever lovely, ebullient Mecha Random.
Hello.
Yes.
I am here as well.
Would you quit calling her a bullion?
A bouillon cube.
A bouillon cube. Do I taste like chicken? Is that it? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
Everything tastes like chicken, but the chicken tastes like fish.
Tim Augustin, thank you for the $2 super chat. I hunger for Star Trek misery. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me. Oh, be patient.
Thank you, Treklosafer. Jeez, I can't read or talk today.
So anyway, we got some news. The thumbnail, we got to start it off because that's, the thumbnail. Ooh. Let's get that out of the way.
Kevin.
So Kevin Smith paid a visit to the set of Star Wars Episode 9.
He did.
Yes, he did. And he got a bit verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves.
Didn't he cry last time, though?
He cries all the time. That's kind of what I was going to say.
He's a bit weepy, isn't he?
A little bit.
Yeah. So let me take this story. Actually, let me take the Cinema Bland story. I know Cinema Blend. I call them Cinema Bland. Cinema Bland. That's exactly what they are. You think the hype for Star Wars Episode 9 couldn't get any bigger? All right, stop right there. All right, does anybody really give a shit about Episode 9 at this point?
I care if it has porgs.
A guy in Tucson and a guy in, I think, Rhode Island.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, and some chick in, I think, Tennessee or New York.
And this chick, who cares if it has porgs?
Yeah.
Well, and you. But just about the porgs. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, okay. But Kevin Smith,
porg fetish is way different.
Porg lives matter. Okay.
That's right.
Would a porg fetish make you a furry, or is that something different?
I think
depends on what you do with the porg.
Oh, anyway, okay. Well, that's a totally different podcast.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, well, it depends. I mean, if you're getting sexual gratification from the porg, then yes, I would imagine. Or are they feathers?
I don't know.
They're feathers.
They're feathers? Well, then no, I guess not, because it's not fur.
Okay. Well, maybe they're like. Oh, okay. I was about to say maybe they're like penguins. But anyway, we're getting off topic here.
They are a lot like penguins.
So anyway, but Kevin Smith has seen the film in production and he was completely blown away. The director recently spoke about visiting the set of the movie currently in production. And while he, of course, couldn't go into specifics, Smith told GMA Day, that's the Good Morning America during the day. If it's during the day, then why is it Good Morning America? Oh, well. That seeing the movie in production and one performance in particular brought him to tears. According to Smith, JJ is doing the Lord's work. This movie looks fantastic. It's a year away, but man, it looks fantastic. I wept on set because I saw somebody give a career best performance. Somebody I've seen in these movies before. I rolled a tear. It was so darn powerful. Biggest set I've ever seen in my life. The dude's not directing a movie. It's like he's directing a small country.
Say a lot of movies make me cry too, but not for good reasons.
I mean,
I cried at Ghostbusters. I cried at Batman v Superman.
I cried during The Last Jedi. I'm like, how could it be so bad?
I was too mad to cry at Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I didn't literally cry, but
Oh, y'all shut up on the screen a lot.
I love Kevin Smith, but he when it comes to his opinion on movies, he loves to love movies, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's anything wrong with that, but again, it's hard to really take your opinion to heart.
Anyway, Kevin Smith. It goes on. Kevin Smith tells GMA Day that he had to sign a pile of non-disclosure agreements, and so of course he doesn't tell us who it was that gave a career best performance. The only hint we have is that it's not a character new to the franchise, though that still leaves a lot of ground to cover. It could be Mark Hamill. We know that the Luke Skywalker actor, will be in the movie, despite the fact that his character died in Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
I bet it's a porg. Porgs are not new to the franchise. I bet. Can we give this little CG porg the Oscar this year, please?
You know who it is? It's a Jawa. That's who it is. It's a Jawa. You know, don't you, they're reenacting the Band-Aid music video. You know. And there won't be snow on Tatooine this Christmas time. So, or as they say, you know, whatever.
Just so you know, chances are on a planet with like 2 suns, there's not gonna be a lot of snow.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah. Of course not. Yeah. Well, let me
I know
tell
that's
you
a joke, guys. Ironic, whatever.
Now, this brings back the Sam Kinison bit. You know, we've been delivering your food out here for the last 50 years. And the crew master would be world hunger if you people would live where the food is.
You missed the setup is all wrong to get the punchline.
Yeah.
Stop sending them food. Stop sending them food. No. You can cry and piss and moan all you want. No. What I mean is
send them U-Hauls.
Send them U-Hauls. You're like, what? Send them U-Hauls. Yeah, send them U-Hauls so they can move where the food is.
It's like we have deserts in America. We just don't live in them, asshole.
Yeah, it's sand. Yeah, guess what? Nothing grows here. You do it so much better.
Well, I got sore throat, so yeah, that is the best Sam Kinison bit. Yeah. But anyways, it's true though. I mean, it's true. Well, anyways, that's a whole other podcast. So, anyways, like I said, beyond that, it could be any of the new characters from Daisy Ridley to John Boyega and beyond. Perhaps it's Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian. Okay,
or his daughter. We
Yeah.
didn't even talk about that yet. They supposedly cast his daughter.
Yeah.
All these old people having very young kids.
Hey,
that means in a galaxy far, far away, Viagra and Colt 45.
Let me see. Lando Calrissian daughter.
Yeah, I can't remember what the actress was, but
yeah, they just talked about it the other day, and it was just like
Lando's daughter to appear in Star Wars Episode 9. That hashtag show.
Yeah, that was about as much I cared.
Well, I think this might be
I'm just looking for a name.
Well, remember when they sent out the casting call? I have no idea who she is. But you remember a few months ago when they sent out the casting call of, we want an African-American or mixed race girl who's a natural born leader and the bestest at everything and a total Mary Sue. This might be her.
Naomi Aki is her name.
I know the name, but I'm trying to remember what I've seen her in.
Nothing. I don't think she's been in anything.
No, well, she had to because I know the name. Somebody out there will tell us. I'm too lazy to look.
Yeah, I've heard. I know of her.
Hold on, I'll do it. I'm pulling up her IMDb credits as we speak.
Yeah, so, it's about time you work for that $5 a month, Rob.
Now it's like those onion rings gonna taste awfully good now.
Well, if we get some more
Star Wars Episode 9, she was in something called The Corrupted. She was in She was in a TV series called, and I'm not kidding, called The Bisexual. Now that's an entirely different movie that you used to find in the video store. Okay, it had to be a UK series. Prime Original, Marvelous Miss Maisel. No, it's not that. Dramedy series examining the life of a woman who breaks off a long-term girlfriend, tries having a straight relationship for a change. Rowan Riley? Who the hell's Rowan Riley? Maxine Peake, Brian Gleason. I have no idea who these people are.
I fell asleep 5 minutes ago.
Plot keywords.
Tyler Bioshock,
anyway,
I'm sorry. We didn't mean to take your job.
She was in one episode of Doctor Who in 2015.
Ooh. Tyler's got to join us one of these days.
Face the Raven. And she was Lady Macbeth. She was in Lady Macbeth and played somebody named Anna. Isn't it
a law, though, if you're a British citizen, you have to appear in an episode of Doctor Who at some point?
So.
I think so. Andrew Garfield was in an episode.
Somewhere. It's like... It's probably kind of like, I mean, to be serious, that was a joke, but to be serious, I got to imagine it's one of those things over there to where it's like...
Well, yeah, every actor pretty much gets on because the show's been on for 175 years. You know, like something has to, like they all have to come in like at least one episode.
Comparison, but it's probably the equivalent of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
I know it's a weird comparison, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, it's like having a cameo on Friends here, but it was in the 90s.
Or Seinfeld.
Right, similar, but still.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, well, anyway, Cinema Bland actually had another piece of this.
Simpsons, yeah, Tyler.
Yeah, Simpsons.
Hold on.
I think almost everybody in America has been on The Simpsons but us.
Yeah, that's true.
There's enough episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, you can go how long without seeing the same Simpsons episode twice? Like 2 years, probably.
Maybe 2 years now. I think they're over 600 episodes now. I think, or close to it. They were at 500 some last I knew. That was a little so they might not quite be there yet.
Yeah,
somebody out there will tell us.
So anyway, let me just touch on the Luke Skywalker thing briefly. Warning, mostly rumor and speculation. Okay, I don't think we want to talk. We're seeing years, blah, 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 and Luke Skywalker, so wait and see J.J. Abrams, blah, blah, blah. After Hux plans their loyalties, blah, blah, blah.
Rob, and I didn't get that.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Okay, who cares? All right, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Although how powerful Luke could be, and it's just a speculatory...
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually time indexing that as nobody cares. So
are we done talking about Kevin Smith getting all weepy eyed, or did anybody else have anything to say about it?
I'm over.
I mean, it's really not new. I mean, like I said, you don't understand how much I love Kevin Smith. I'm probably single-handedly responsible for 80% of the fans in the Tri-County, if not state, because nobody knew who he was, and I kept turning one weekend. Literally, this is a true story. My parents were gone, so I had like one of those 3-day weekend parties. All weekend long, literally on loop, we watched Clerks and Friday. Because every time somebody would new to come to the house, be like, have you seen these yet? No. Yeah, I'm on the house at the time. My parents' house at the time was big enough to where you could have the living room was far enough away from everything else. We had the music going in the other room, and people were watching a movie in the other room. It was like, so I turned on so many people to Kevin Smith that weekend. It's not funny. We watched it on just at nausea for 3 days straight. But anyway, of course. Moving on.
I like Chasing Amy. Yeah, I like turtles. Turtles are cool. So, okay. So let's lay the Star Trek smack down.
Oh yes. Yes.
We got we found some court filings. Some
Johnson
papers.
and Associates. I got some papers here in front of me. Looks like CBS was trying to get this thrown out under the assumption that you can't copyright a living creature, which is true. You know, you can't copyright a giraffe, just a plain giraffe, right? Because a giraffe exists in real world.
Yeah.
But now if you put a hat on that giraffe, some sneakers,
and call him Phil.
Call him Jeffrey, maybe?
Jeffrey.
Guess what? He's copyrighted.
Yes.
Oh, what did you do? You took something that was already existed and you changed it and made it a specific way and made a copyright out of it. That's really the only argument CBS has in this claim, is that you can't copyright a living thing. But what about a blue tardigrade that's big, and you use it to travel through space?
You use it in tandem with an albino gay man to travel through space.
Well, not just that, but yeah, I mean, there's even more. I'm just going with the minimal,
and a big boob redhead.
That's the sad part. The minimal similarities. Star Trek Discovery has more in common with this video game and the version of Tardigrade than it does with the real animal and Star Trek. So there you go. There's the opening blast from me. Take it away, ladies and gentlemen. Random, we haven't heard from you much.
It sounds very much to me like they're trying to hide any sort of. Well, they're trying to hide it. They're going to probably flag all the videos. Anybody who talks about it, they're probably going to send their shills out in full force, commenting. So just watch. For everybody who watches this later on, just look through the comment section and see how many just form letter sort of blanket statement. Oh, you are totally wrong about this or that you see in the comment section. Click on those people and see. Well, they don't even subscribe to any sort of entertainment channels. They're subscribed to Dr. Phil. You know, they're people who don't, seriously. They're not even in the Fandom Menace or the anti Star Trek movement. They don't even subscribe to any sort of they don't even subscribe to Collider. These people usually. And yeah, that's
now random. Your hair is definitely cry for help because you track what you put out, and you're putting out crazy, young lady. You know, like Dr. Phil. I can't stand that big fat pussy sellout. I can't stand him.
But yeah, they all. I mean, it's all CBS. CBS owns Dr. Phil, or a good chunk of it, a big enough chunk of it to have their shills out on both of those. So
yeah,
God, man, they're so grasping for as little or as whatever they can, as much as they can, which is these little tiny crumbs of maybe possibly if we reword it and change the definition of a giraffe, or in this case, let's say this is a real animal. But it's not, you know. They're trying. They're really trying.
Right? Yeah. Well, okay. Let's just be clear. I just want to be clear though. The guy who's representing CBS in this case is a guy by the name of Jonathan Zavin. Okay. He represented CBS in the Axonar lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's just be clear. This is not some sort of vendetta. This is this guy's specialty. He specializes in copyright and intellectual property law. And he is retained by this. He's a partner in this firm, Loeb and Loeb. So, okay, let's just for full disclosure, let's just get that out of the way.
Right. And also it needs to be said, though, this is a completely different situation than the Axonar situation as well.
Yeah. But I got to say, though, you know, this is why I hate lawyers. This is why I shouldn't say hate. This is why I don't like lawyers very much. Is just that it's their job to use this to work the system and to create doubt. But at the same time, what do you think we're stupid? Do you really think I'm that stupid? I have eyes. It's another. You know, it's like that old Groucho Marx line. You know that they're trying to use on me. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can see just as clear as day. There's a similarity there.
Right. If
that's just my opinion, mind you. I'm not a legal expert, so that's just my opinion, I got to say.
No, you got a good point, though. I'd love to see a controlled experiment where you have somebody who you know has never seen Star Trek Discovery, has no real knowledge of it, doesn't even have to have a knowledge of Star Trek in general, doesn't know anything about this game or anything about the lawsuit. Show them pictures of both and see if they can differentiate between. Chances are, I'm willing to bet people are going to be like, "Oh, those are pre-designs, right, for the show,
or that's
concept
like a
art
game
or something.
Concept art."
Oh, this is the game. Yeah, this is the game.
Or this is the game for the show. Or that game looks crappy. I hope they fix it. And this is a new show. The show looks, got really cool special effects. Because they don't know.
Oh, wow. They put a lot of work into this from the beginning. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like you look at it and you know that you draw parallels right away. Is my point I'm getting to. I'm not trying to put down Anas's game either. I'm just
no.
No, this is a game that was put together by one person as opposed to
one person
they're looking at as a multi-billion-dollar company putting it together is what I was trying to get at.
One person, and like I said, he's just doing it as well. He's doing it on a low budget, and like I said, this is what the game is supposed to look like. It is supposed to be a simple throwback point and click.
Well, it's a puzzle game more so than it is.
Yeah.
But the point being, the setup, the tardigrade, too much is similar, and like you said, you can't. Even if you had no knowledge of the situation and you showed all the similarities, of course somebody's going to draw the similarities. And then if you actually see the show and how it works, it's a little different, but it's close enough. And CBS's argument here is just,
Well, not only that, they changed so much in Star Trek to match the game. They took away warp drive to incorporate this tardigrade space travel that belongs perfectly in this video game. Don't belong anywhere near Star Trek at all. And why would we already have a way to travel? You don't need this. It never we already had the explanation of the Klingon War without this. So they changed how the Star Trek lore existed. They need a Star Trek lore expert in there to go in and say this. Like Robert Meyer Burnett or somebody, somebody who knows this shit.
Weren't they supposed to have the super fans telling them, said no, you can't do this? But apparently they
didn't listen to them, I don't think.
No, we know what they were really there for. Oh well, allegedly.
Well, we have a suspicion what they were there for.
Yeah. And that was just to tell them if there was an episode already like that, which we can't even see how they did that job. Because if that's true, because there's already been how many episodes that are really bad ripoffs of episodes we've already had?
Yeah, like the Groundhog Day episode and
This Side of Paradise. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So anyway, continue.
Well, now they're just remaking. Well, now they're just remaking Search for Spock, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Search for Spock, and they're combining Search for Spock and the motion picture.
Well, and then also we still are clinging to Star Trek Into Darkness because they didn't reuse enough and rehash enough of that in first season. They're going to end up rehashing more of it in the second season with Mir Georgiou,
Oh, yeah.
Because they need her to win the war.
Of course. Yeah. Let's have a homicidal maniac. We
didn't learn this already that never mind.
Con and bad. Oh, no, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't know that yet.
But anyway, Star Trek.
I was watching Gary over at Nerdrotic. You know how we've been saying that Bad Robot's associated with this. Bad Robot's
get arrested again for looking through his window. Sorry. Anyway, Bad Robot.
Yeah, we were talking about Bad Robot, and their association with this show, and everybody's saying, "Oh well, you can't prove that, you can't prove that," and we've been saying Bad Robot has their fingerprints all over the show. Gary was saying he was watching the special features before he burned the DVD. And Alex Kurtzman says that CBS wanted a more cinematic look to this series, so they brought in everyone from the movies.
Right, which is just what we've been saying from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And who is everyone from the movies? Bad fucking Robot.
Well, not to mention that if you look hard enough, you can find that they were attached at one time. And even if their name isn't on it and it's Kurtzman's company instead, which
Klutzman,
yeah, whatever.
Oh, whatever.
Point being, it's still there. And why else would CBS have to go to Paramount to get permission for things? That's the only way that makes any fucking sense. And it also the only way it makes sense as to why CBS cannot make a show that adheres to Prime and has to be 25% different, which we've also shown that fact. And Mecha, you did a pretty good report on that too, besides ones we've done.
Yeah, I've done many like that. Just I know one of my videos.
Well, one of your more recent ones I was talking about, where you found the thing where it actually stated right on it that it had to be 25% different.
Oh yeah, that was from like Irish Trekker or Trekker in Ireland, or I can't remember his name. He had like a screenshot from that Birmingham Comic-Con where they it wasn't a Comic-Con, it was that TrekCon or whatever it was.
Right. It was a concept of like the the side of the ship or the
it was like right from the artist room, or from the design team at Discovery, where they showed like the arrowhead on the side of, I think, the nacelles or something, and the one person asked the other person on this whiteboard in writing, why is this different? These are supposed to be this other shape, and he said, well, that's to coincide with the 25% difference.
Right, and they treat it like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And Rob brought up the point originally, and it works so perfectly. It's like having only 75% of the Beatles there. It's still not the Beatles.
No.
Other Beatles have all showed up on other Beatles albums all the time. That doesn't automatically make it a Beatles song, unless you have all of them there. The point where when they did the anthology and they did new songs, quote unquote, they took old songs that John never finished and finished them. Yeah, is all they did. So technically, all the Beatles worked on those songs. That's that's a perfect analogy to show you how different 25% can be. That's why I have a feeling like this new Child's Play. I think that's part of the deal. There is, they have to make their version of quote unquote Chucky, which is now Buddy, at least 25%, if not more, different. Even though he looks very similar, he can't have the same name, and he has a different backstory. And that's because technically Universal owns the rights to Chucky. I'm sure that's the reason. But I mean, again, it's just one of those copyright deals.
At some point, it stops being that thing. It's not, like I said, you start making changes. That analogy when you pull the thread, the whole sweater unravels.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I love the anthology series, Tyler. The only complaint I have with the anthology is that they kind of overlap some things, to where I wish they would have let them just play as tracks, and they kind of cut through it. It's like, no, let the whole thing play. Because sometimes, other than the 2 new songs they did, all it is alternate versions and alternate takes, and mostly just alternate takes. So they don't have like full songs on there. It's just stuff in here.
Them laughing during
which is cool, but it's like it could have been utilized better. That's for sure.
Actually, the one track that I do like that I think is actually superior is the version of Across the Universe that's on there without the processed vocal.
Right. Yeah, there's some cool shit on there. Don't get me wrong. And you also can get My Bonnie on there, which I wish didn't have the talking in the beginning. Again, that's where I said the crossover with tracks. But otherwise, the only way you can get that is to find this one company that owns it. That was it Tony Sheridan, or what's his name?
Tony Sheridan. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like hard to find, but yeah.
Actually, Cry for a Shadow is also on there, so that's one. The only song credited as Lennon Harrison.
And it also has their very first recording, and a bunch of other stuff on there. So I mean, it's worth it, but it's tougher to find now. And as a whole, it could have been something cooler, I guess. But it was
anyway. So anyway, we're getting way off. We're getting way off. So Star Trek. Rob, I mean, what?
Did you really get to give your thoughts on this whole thing? You and I both got to read the letters, which it's out there, folks. If you want to find it, of course, we're not.
Like I said, this is what lawyers do. This is why they get 150, $200 an hour, and this guy's probably getting
a lot more grand,
grand an hour. You kidding me?
200. Yeah.
Oh my god! I'd like to get run over by this guy's car. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh man, but
looking at these papers, I think Anas has a good case here.
Yeah, Anas does have a good case.
And I mean, break down they had a few other things they brought up, not just the ones we talked about, but everything they bring up, including different cases in the past. They shoot every one of them down. There's way too much for us to go into it. Piece by piece.
You can find the documents online.
Right, and we just did a news brief on it that covers the more important bits.
But I think Anas does. Like I said, I'm not a legal expert, but Anas does have a strong case here. From judging from it, and I don't know. I tend to think that this is not going to go to trial. They won't.
I'm starting to wonder now that they got this lawyer. Before that, I was starting to think they were gonna settle.
Well, one of the things, you can bring in a big name lawyer to try and intimidate someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god, they got this guy. Oh my god, what are we gonna do? But think like I said, I think CBS, if it goes to trial, then CBS is going to have to, and we've brought this up before, CBS is going to have to disclose their numbers for Star Trek Discovery, the subscribers. They're going to have to open the books. They're going to have to show the production company. They're going to have to go through production, and when they show who the actual production company is, it's gonna be revealed that it's Bad Robot too. I mean, so that's gonna be embarrassing. That'll just confirm what we've been saying, and. Pardon me. And like I said, I mean, a lot of things are going to start coming out, and a lot of things that maybe CBS doesn't want revealed.
Yeah. Well, Big Gator has a good question, and it's Star Trek related. What happened to STD being an anthology itself? That's a very good question, and we actually have the answer, and you can kind of trace it up to my Nicholas Meyer interview.
Yeah.
And what happened was Brian Fuller's initial plan was to do a what's it called? The American Horror Story. Is that what it's called?
American Gods.
No.
I think it was American Horror Story where they have
where they every year it's different.
Oh no, an American Horror Story type series. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. He wanted to do one every year where it was something different, and CBS didn't see that as cost effective, and that was supposed to be one of the reasons why he either stepped down or was fired, and we can basically say he was fired. Yeah. And then when you listen to our interview with Nicholas Meyer, what you get from that was Khan was supposed to be one of the next things in the pipeline. It was going to be a 3-night miniseries, and that and everything else got thrown in the air because nobody knew who was in charge. Fuller was gone. What's their faces took over, the two writers.
Caden.
I can't think of their names. I think they're together, though, either husband and wife or their partners.
Gretchen Berg.
Yeah, Gretchen Berg and whatever. And yes, and so then they took over, and then of course we know what happened there. And then Nicholas Meyer did not hear back from them, hasn't heard about the show, but they have copyrighted the name SETI Alpha 5. And what was I going to say? They turned around, and with season 2, it was just greenlit basically to save face because they had to basically pretend that this show was a hit. But if you notice, they've spent all the money already because they didn't have any money really to begin with. And what they did have, they spent. They didn't get the money from Netflix for season 2.
No,
because Netflix was not on, they paid for season 1, but they didn't have to pay for season 2.
Yeah.
Because notice they didn't take the short tracks. No, and the only people who did were the one Canada station. Lord knows
Bell Media in Canada. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is, like I said, and firing Fuller actually was the moment where it started to become something different. Hold on, before we go, Shogun Orta, thank you for the $5 super chat.
I've seen that, yeah.
But will they cancel it? I don't think they're going to cancel right away.
No, it'll either go half a season for season 2, and then that'll be done after season 2, I bet. And what I was going to get to my final note, the reason that we got a season 2 of Star Trek Discovery is because nothing else has happened.
Yeah.
They didn't have anything else ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to, if you have not noticed, keep people subscribed to CBS All Access as long as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're staggering all this shit. They're not even hiding that fact. It's a given because they don't have the people they want. They don't have the numbers they want. Mecha just did a story here recently about the whole, it's in the top, whatever it is, 10 for most demand.
Oh, yeah. They did the Parrot Analytics.
Your favorite, Rob.
Oh, God. What a racket these guys got going.
No shit. We need to start something like this because I can see more Dreckies using this report. Oh, look. It's in the top 10 most in-demand shows. They do this.
It's just the most hashtag. That's all it means.
If anything, it just shows that a lot of people fucking pirate it instead of actually watching it.
Or tweet about it.
Yeah, and it to me tells me people are more or less hate watching it. If you're going to download it, that's the only reason you're going to.
I know we are.
Shh.
No, we're hate watching it. We're not pirating it. That's what
we're hate watching. That's what I meant. We're hate watching
it. Pirating it. No. Why would we pirate it? We don't have to. It's not that. It just.
Why would we pirate? Why would we pirate it? That's
exactly. It's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we got people who will buy versions of it for us to destroy if we wanted to.
I know that's.
I got people giving me like Netflix passwords and shit. I was like, no, thank you, but no, I can't. I can't.
In good conscience do that.
No. But anyway, fuck watching it.
Well, I mean, didn't we do something recently about how Brian Fuller said that the show was completely different under his watch?
Yes, I was when I was digging for something. I can't remember what. It was one of the last Star Trek videos. I uncovered an old article where it flat out says in Fuller's own words, "This is not set in Prime. This is not set in Kelvin. It is its own thing. Mm-hmm. My idea is for it to be an anthology series." Blah blah blah. What we've all just said. So
he said like Rippers was like originally a 6'10" black guy or something like that, or
something like that. Yeah, but and then to get back to this whole CBS thing and talking about Fuller, I don't remember seeing it anywhere in the papers that we've gone through. But there's so many we haven't gone through all of them. Probably together we have, but you didn't see anything in there mentioning Fuller because I don't even think CBS is going to try and use them as a scapegoat anymore.
Nah, I mean CBS is. I mean, I would have to read it more thoroughly. But on first glance, I did not see anything about Brian Fuller mentioned. Yeah. Which means, I mean, they cannot use that as a defense. If they're not using Brian Fuller as defense, that means it's going to that using him would make them look more guilty.
At this point, yes, because
it would help Anas's case.
Because according to Robert Meyer Burnett on Twitter, he said that he could prove, or he knows for a fact, that Brian Fuller's script did not have the tardigrades in it. That shit was added later, I think were his exact words.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Robert Meyer Burnett seems like a decent guy.
We plan on talking to him eventually.
What's he doing hanging out with John Campea? Jesus.
Well, they're all kind of, they know each other.
They all travel in that circle.
Some of those people, but we're not exactly in the circle, but we know some of those people. But anyway, it's just the point. They got nothing to stand on here. I'm trying to see where CBS is even wanting to go to trial with this.
No,
it's not really a trial.
I gotta think. Like I said, if this goes to trial, then I really think that CBS does not want to go to trial because of the bad publicity associated with it. Sometimes they're not really, and they're
unless they feel like they can choke. Basically, and what I mean by that is like,
wait them out.
Drag it out, cost him a buttload of money. I don't think they realize that he's got a buttload of fans that'll get behind him and help him out.
That's the difference now between now and even just 10 years ago. I mean, something happens like this 10 years ago. I mean, you bankrupt yourself with legal fees trying to defend your shit, and eventually you just throw up your hands and say, no mas. Now, I mean, you have everybody would come out of the woodwork and would, hey, Anas, here's $10. Here's $100. Here's $1,000, So, I mean, it's a different landscape than it is now. John Tennett, thank you for the $100 Hong Kong super chat. You guys need to talk to some lawyers, especially copyright lawyers. From what I've heard, CBS actually has a case. Yeah, they have a case.
To a point.
But like I said, we're reading the legal briefings, and it's
everything that they put in their letter. The Nas's lawyer or whatever, they rebutted or rebuffed, and they broke down every little bit that they went into, and they were trying to cite cases that have nothing to do with this case, nothing in the slightest. And if the best they're going to try and stand on is, it's a tardigrade and it's a living thing and you can't copyright a living thing. I don't know if you heard the intro to this. I basically said, you can't copyright a giraffe, but if you make it a cartoon giraffe that can stand on its hind legs, give it shoes, a shirt, and a hat, and name it Jeffrey, then you can.
You cannot copy. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I was saying that's basically kind of what Anas did. He changed it from a little tiny microscopic water bear into this big creature that, helps you travel across space.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery and Anas's game have more in common than the actual living creature do.
Yeah.
And Star Trek Discovery or the other. So the point is his version is different enough, unique enough, and Star Trek's version is similar enough that I do think they have a case. But I mean, I'm not saying I'm a lawyer, obviously, but and I know these kind of cases generally don't go to the
trial.
The person who's bringing on the case. What are they called? I can't.
Plaintiff.
They're the plaintiff? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
Anas is the plaintiff in this case.
Yeah, the plaintiff usually doesn't win these cases. And just as general, because, it's very tough to prove, that somebody could have seen this or that. But in the day and age of the internet, it's a little harder to believe that somebody may not have access to something as opposed to 30 years ago.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like I said, that's what a lawyer does. That's what CBS is. That's why they're paying these guys, is to prove that is to bolster the case on their side. And for, like I said, when everybody when everybody would rant about, I would always say about how everybody who, because like I said, in the video game community, they would threaten to sue Sony for this or that. Oh, I'm going to sue them. I'm like, just because you get a lawyer doesn't mean you're automatically going to win. The other guys have lawyers too. So it's like I said, both sides have lawyers. I mean,
right, but the story is the fact that they got a lawyer and who it is. But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
And no matter who it is, you play the game, each side runs the risk of losing. That's there's the old saying in football about any given Sunday. Well, any given Sunday, you could lose, win or lose. It's and there's like I said, there is a chance that a judge or a jury would find enough evidence to rule for Anas, or they would find the ruling for CBS. Like I said, the law works both ways.
Now, is this one of those situations? I don't know much about this kind of a legal thing. Of course, Jonathan is right on that part. Now, is this one of those things where it would first go to a situation where it goes in front of a judge, and then a judge can either decide the case or decide if it should go in front of a jury, or does it go automatically in front of a jury?
Well, you would have to prove that you have enough evidence for the case to go forward.
Right. Well, because we know the first part is through, and that was CBS tried to fight that there wasn't a case here, but the judge says there was, and that's why they had to lawyer up. So this is actually going to at least the first step. We know that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm getting to, because I really don't know
you can file a motion to dismiss. I believe that's
that's what they did, is they filed to dismiss. I believe
file dismiss, and a judge would have to rule whether or not there's enough standing to dismiss. Hold on, I gotta take care of some stretch.
No problem. Yeah, but that was my question. I wasn't sure, and unless somebody out there knows how the levels of this goes to, if this now goes in front of a judge, or the next step now is it goes in front of judge and jury. I don't know how many steps there are to this, but I mean, Anas can only tell us so much when we talk to him, of course, and it's mainly a copyright issue. Won't matter if CBS stole it. Well, he did copyright it. That's the thing. He copyrighted this stuff back when he created it, as far as I know.
Well, yeah, he had the copyright since he had the game up, right?
14 or 15, yeah, something like that.
Doesn't having it published on a video game distribution?
He actually went to I think he actually had it copyrighted, though, is what he's saying. That I'd have to find out, John Tonette. But I'm under the assumption, from what I've been told and seen, that he has a copyright. It's not published, but he still has a copyright. But he's got it published he's got trailers published on websites, demos, I believe. The game isn't complete yet, but there's still been enough stuff out there. And yeah, I'm not sure on the exact. I'd have to get the exacts on that, though.
All right, I'm back. What I missed?
You missed JR getting shot.
I linked the Steam page so everyone can see that. Yeah, I mean, it establishes that it was at least published on November 21st, 2014, and it was last updated November 13th, 2015. So,
well, and he's actually done more to it since then. I know that because he's always posting stuff.
Well, all the Steam Greenlight thing is that it's just a way to gauge public reaction.
Yeah,
it's a way for indie game developers to get their games in front of an audience.
Well, it was basically a vote to get to be able to be bought on Steam.
Yeah,
and yeah, then so I would kind of say that kind of establishes a little bit more than some guy saying, "See, I have this. I drew this first."
Mm-hmm.
It's like at least one step closer to having a copyright by being published on Steam. And I don't know if he has any other.
Well, and what was the name of that law again, Rob?
The Berne Convention?
Yeah, because I think that's kind of what John Sinette's getting to. See, I'm understanding because they tried to use the argument of the Berne Convention, and he said as far as I know, and everything that's in the papers, that he has the copyright. So that they can't use that argument either. So it's been firmly established is what they're basically saying.
Yeah.
So I think he crossed his T's and dotted his I's, and I think that's what's going to bite CBS in the ass. And I mean, we heard our rumors before about the whole thing because before CBS wanted them to drop it, wanted them to get Netflix off the case and all this other shit. But since I believe that Netflix streams it over there, that's part of the reason they're there anyway. So this is also not going to help their relationship. Yeah, CD Horde, everybody is streaming live tonight. So surprised we have 108 people here. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
So anyway,
let's move on to some Golden Globe news.
All right,
that's an interesting development, and if anything more comes out, we'll definitely get it to you. I know we'll want to get something sooner or later from Anas, but he's not able to tell us much right now. So we have to go by what we find.
Yeah.
So we got a couple other things to talk about. Let's talk about some Golden Globe news. We got some nominations.
Golden Globules.
Globules.
The Golden Globes.
Oh, some interesting happenings
Indiana
there.
Jones and the Golden Globes.
I want to think
that's the X-rated version.
I want to thank the foreign press.
So the Golden Globe. Yeah, really? Do you want to thank Callista?
She's so hot.
Are they still together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It works.
But a friend of mine went to go see a friend of mine went to go see Gilbert Gottfried. Talk about a guy, writing his previous fame. His most recent reference to make fun of was actually Ally McBeal. Like, way to be on the cutting edge of 1999 there, Gilbert.
Wow.
So anyway, Golden Globes.
He's probably playing it safe after all that. Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, that Callista Flockhart, what a bitch.
Well, we've got the nominations for the Golden Globes. Best Motion Picture Drama, as I said, Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Let me just say that I still haven't seen Black Panther.
What?
Yeah, I still haven't seen Black Panther. I just didn't get around to it.
Why? It's not bad, but it's not. But we'll get into this in a minute. It's not bad.
It just seems like when a movie is really hyped up, that
I get that.
It really puts me off seeing it.
I seen it after the hype though, and it wasn't bad. And I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. That's why I'm not a big fan of Something About Mary and a few other movies, because I waited till way too late to see them. So by the time I saw it, like this big hype was like, I'm like, okay,
yeah. But anyway, Black Panther, Black Klansman, and
Tyler, you're the only white guy who didn't see it.
Yeah. I didn't see it.
No. Well.
Do I have to turn in my woke card?
Yes.
But yeah, I'm like, it's just like you have.
Isn't it on Netflix yet?
I don't know.
It might be.
Three movies about African Americans. You got a movie about a gay guy, and you got A Star Is Born. I mean, is
the fifth time or however many times it's been remade now?
I mean, are we're gonna
fourth movie of A Star Is Born? I think.
Yeah. Are we gonna change this to the woke awards?
Aren't they all though anymore?
Is it like a rule that if you make A Star Is Born, you automatically get Oscars and Golden Globes and shit?
Probably.
Because like any other time somebody remakes something and it's like, stay away. Every time A Star Is Born is remade, it's just Oscars and gold, awards left and right, and it's always the same story, though, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Oh, I was in a store actually today.
Well, there's the Judy Garland one, and I think there was one before that.
Yeah, there was the one before that.
One with
Barbra Streisand
and Chris Christopherson.
Oh well, but
this one seems like more of a remake of that one.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, but
But speaking of Black Panther, though, I was in a grocery store and actually they have, how they get the Christmas ornaments? They had a Black Panther Christmas tree ornament, and I'm like, this is. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, no.
Well, they have pork Christmas tree ornaments too, though.
Yeah. The Spider-Man and the Iron Man ones were really cool. So
I love this, and this is totally unrelated, but it's because you brought up ornaments. Somebody showed a picture of the Star Trek II Hallmark ornament.
Yeah.
And yeah. About a guy sacrificing himself.
And then being resurrected. And then being resurrected.
Yeah. And then I thought that was Easter, not Christmas. Anyway. Got to be a Catholic, probably get that, or at least a Christian.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, let's run down the rest of these nominees.
Yes. Or were at one time.
Okay, Best Picture, Black Panther, Black Klansman. Actually, there's 3 cases. It's Black Klansman, isn't it? So Bohemian Rhapsody, Beale Street Could Talk, Star Is Born.
Be hip, Rob. You know.
Yes, I know.
About the Ku Klux Klan, and it's a true story.
It is
of when a man decided to be a Klansman, but he was black.
Isn't that just the Dave Chappelle story? The sketch.
Yes,
just drawn out the 90 minutes.
This one cost $1 million.
I got to say though, it's the first Spike Lee movie in like 15 years that's actually made money.
Yes, that's very true.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, I've heard it's really good. Actually, I haven't got a chance to see it yet, but and if Beale Street Could Talk, Beale Street, I've never even heard of that one.
I haven't heard of it either.
Yeah.
More Oscar bait. Anyway, Best Actress.
Is that your obligatory gay cowboys eating pudding movie?
Probably.
Okay. Best Actress, we got Glenn Close as usual. Lady Gaga for some reason. Nicole Kidman, Melissa McCarthy. Can You Ever Forgive Me? The perfect title for.
I saw
something.
I saw Lady Gaga on Colbert promoting A Star Is Born. Steve Colbert, yeah. Very talented. Not a pretty girl though. I
think she's cute.
She's
better without makeup, but
yes, it's all that, but it almost takes you by surprise. I'm like, wow, so that's what she really looks like. So anyway, Rosamund Pike actually rounds out that category. So anyway, let's keep going.
Bradley Cooper for Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe for Eternity's Gate, Lucas Hedges for Boy Erased, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm going to say this now. I owe the man an apology from the start, saying that I wasn't sold on him in the part. Again, so he owes. I kind of hope he wins that, to be honest with you. John David Washington for Black Klansman rounds out that category. Anything stick out, ladies and gentlemen?
No.
I have not seen any of these.
Well, I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, but that's it. But I'd like to see Black Klansman.
I'm noticing right now my pad that I'm making notes on smells like the lumber department at Home Depot.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It smells like Mikey Spock.
Or the Mikey Spock section of the store.
Mikey Spock.
Mikey Spock. That's
the new flavor from Fabergé. Crazy Rich Asians is one of the nominations for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. The Favorite is one of the favorites. Green Book, Mary Poppins Returns.
That movie's not even out yet.
I know. Yeah. I was gonna say that.
Disney, what'd you do there? I smell conspiracy here.
Oh my god!
It's kind of related to that, but yeah.
Well, it's probably already got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, of course, it's not out yet.
I'm sure it's been out enough to where the press have seen it. It might be out in other countries already,
or they may have just had an advanced screening somewhere.
Exactly enough that it's got a nomination. Evidently, well, they sent out screeners for this crap, maybe. Probably just as many. I don't know. Well, maybe they don't anymore.
How many of these people who vote for these things actually watch them?
According to Siskel and Ebert, not many.
Yeah, they just kind of vote for what they recognize.
Press, so, I mean, does it really even matter if they've seen the movies? I think it's more about basically, I mean, I'm not trying to simplify it, but isn't it basically these are the people that gave us something to write about this year?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Kind of thing. I mean, it is kind of a precursor to the Oscars. It's kind of a, what would you call it? Like a preliminary vote for the Oscars almost. But
I always kind of thought of it as more of like a little bit closer to like a People's Choice version of the Oscars.
Kind of. They have more fun.
It's the Oscars undercard is what it is.
It's like the People's Choice Awards, but it's the press. But it's not just the American press. It's actually foreign press. Yeah. Actually, so the Americans have nothing to do with it, really. So it's almost like kind of like a, I don't know the exact, just like what
Oscars without the stick up its ass?
Kind of. But it's not the peers giving awards to peers. It's the press giving awards to actors and filmmakers and stuff. And television is in there too, of course.
Well, let's
we're not going to go that far, but we're going to get into at least the movie aspect of it. Emily Blunt, of course, is why I was saying that there's a connection to the last one, is nominated for Mary Poppins Returns. Vice isn't even out yet either, by the way.
No, actually, Vice is out this weekend, I think.
Yeah. Olivia Colman, Elsie Fisher, Charlize Theron, and Constance Wu.
Hey,
round off those.
Why isn't Charlize Theron Carol Danvers?
Oh,
she's a little too old, probably.
Probably, but
she's a better choice.
Yeah, she was looking a little
long in the tooth.
Yeah, when she was on Orville last year, but
yeah, she's starting to show her age, unfortunately. But she's
better actress though.
Hot chick, though. I don't care. Me too. Whatever. Fuck it. Best actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy: Christian Bale in Vice, Lin-Manuel Miranda in Mary Poppins Returns, Viggo Mortensen in Green Book, Robert Redford in The Old Man and the Gun, John C. Reilly in Standing Out. I don't know why I'm reading them all, and I didn't read them all last time. Best in a supporting, we got Amy Adams, Claire Foy, Regina King, Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz. Best actor in a supporting, Mahershala Ali, Timothy Chalamet, Adam Driver, Richard E. Grant, and Sam Rockwell. Best animated picture, we got Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Maria, how do you say Mariah? Oh, fuck it. Mirai. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. How did that
not out yet?
Is it not out yet?
But people have seen it. Best motion picture, foreign language, Capernaum, Girl, Never Look Away, Roma, Shoplifters, blah, blah, blah. Best director, Bradley Cooper, Alfonso Cuarón, Peter Farrelly, Spike Lee, and Adam McKay. Yeah, and do we really need to get into any more of these?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Best television series: The Americans, The Bodyguard, Homecoming, Killing Eve. None of these I've ever posed, which no one said. None of which I've seen.
Yeah.
Hold on. Musical or comedy? Best television series: musical comedy. Barry, The Good Place. Never seen it. Kidding. Showed. Never seen it. The Kominsky Method. Never seen it. Marvelous Miss Maisel. Maisel. Whatever.
Didn't they cancel Murphy Brown? She got a nomination.
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, Alison Brie is nominated for Glow.
Mm-hmm.
I love Alison Brie. I loved her on Community, but she lost too much weight.
I don't see no Star Trek Discovery. Do you?
No. She looks like a Pez dispenser now.
You both said that same. Nope. But it's so
well, no, it only gets awards for being tweeted about. That's all it gets awards for.
Exactly.
So like the real legit one. So they're like, oh, but it won all these awards that are just for being tweeted. Like hashtag. What is trending right now? I can tell you what else would get an award. Like it's actually more tweets than Star Trek Discovery. Trending right now. The Game Awards are trending right now. Chris Judge is trending right now with 1,060 tweets. How many years Star Trek Discovery? Well, Chris Judge, he was Teal'c on Stargate. He probably won an award for the latest God of War game. Yeah, so the Game Awards are going on right now. How many Star Trek Discovery? I don't see that many Discovery. No, I feel like 130 Star Trek Discovery. It looks like.
So
and tonight the short Trek came out.
Where is it even getting express demands? That's another thing I don't get. I never see it trending.
No.
I don't know
all
where
right.
to get this shit. All right. Let's move on to the next story. This is something we brought up before. We have said, you know what? If there's ever a show that needs to be revived, speaking of Murphy Brown and revivals, because I see they're arguing in the chat whether or not it's canceled or not. I see or something like that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the Nightmare Room.
No, not the Nightmare Room. We're talking about Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Celebrity Deathmatch. Yes, it's about damn time.
This is not about what you want to do to Jake. Okay, this is about entertainment news, Rob. Get with the program. Jake is. We'll talk about Jake after the show. Okay.
What about him?
Well, we got to figure out what to do with the body.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I thought we weren't gonna talk about that.
Well, I thought Melman, whatever his name is, Melman got a little crazy there, and
Melman got a little.
Jake's still alive, guys. It's not Jake.
Yeah. Melman got a little.
Hungry.
Hungry, yeah. Yeah. I told you not to give. I told you not to give Jake that salmon shampoo.
Well, I told you to give him a Snickers because he wasn't his usual self, and then he just went out and was his usual self and decided to feed himself.
Yeah.
Now we got to clean up the mess. So anyway, Celebrity Deathmatch is back.
Yes.
Anyway, being revived by MTV, of course, and Ice Cube. MTV Studios.
Man, I remember the first ever Celebrity Deathmatch. Howard Stern versus Kathy Lee Gifford.
All these kids out there. Who is Kathy Lee Gifford?
Who's Howard Stern?
Well, careful woman. I have a very delicate colon.
MTV Studios is set to create a revival of the late 90s, early 2000s animated show Celebrity Deathmatch. According to Screen Rant, here we have Deathmatch was a stop-motion animated series that mostly lived up to its title. Each episode contained 3 fights, pitting 2 or more celebrities against each other in battles to the death, although a select few did see historical legacy characters fight, such as when Sherlock Holmes threw down with Jack the Ripper. 2 pilot episodes after Celebrity Deathmatch aired in January of 1998, with the series' proper debut in May of that year. Well, it was really that late. I thought it was earlier than that.
It was pretty long. It was a while ago. I thought
I know that, but I could have swore it was early, like 96, 97. I thought it was before like South Park and shit.
No, I think it was like I remember it being 2000s, but
okay. Well, I knew it was on for a while.
Yeah, like after South Park. It was like around the time of Jackass.
Wow. All right. The original run consisted of 4 seasons, and that's it. It was only on for 4 seasons. Wow, they reran the fuck out of that then.
Oh, yeah.
And ended in 2002. A brief revival was attempted in 2006. I did not know that. But it was canceled before the end of 2007, and that's probably why. The comedic bouts were called by animated commentary duo Johnny Gomez and Nick Diamond. And wasn't
Stone Cold Steve Austin was also on for a while.
But wasn't the one the original Gomez, Sean Astin's dad? I can't think of John.
Was it John Astin? I think it was John Astin.
John Astin was one of them.
Sound like him.
It was him, I think, and I can't remember who the other guy was. And then they had Judge Mills Lane as the referee. WWE, which aired its Saturday Night Heat program on MTV, ended in, I don't know why that has anything. Stone Cold Steve Austin would show up on occasion. That's what you were just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Another revival was announced back in 2015, but MTV didn't end up ordering it to series. Now it looks like a revival reboot will indeed happen. According to Variety, which is evidently who probably broke the story, MTV Studios is unsurprisingly behind this new take on Celebrity Deathmatch. But what's more surprising is involvement of rapper-actor Ice Cube, who will executive produce and star in the revival. It's unclear what Cube would actually be doing on the show, although serving as a host or part of the commentary team seems a viable option. I doubt that. Series creator Eric Fogel will return to executive produce alongside. Yeah, he's just executive producer.
Yeah, I am.
That means his company's producing it. Yeah. Expected sometime in 2019. So
cool.
There you go.
Cool.
Nice.
It's definitely an idea that you can keep bringing back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's all those crazy celebrities. Because like they missed
all the time.
Yeah, they missed like a whole lot of those little pop princesses like Taylor Swift versus, everybody. And yeah, like they missed so many of those. Like, oh man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun. Who do they do now? Like we were talking today on my live stream. Kathleen Kennedy versus who?
Amy Pascal.
Amy Pascal? Yeah. Probably.
But that's just it. Like we said, we've always come up with a bunch of these. Go ahead, Rob.
Adam Driver versus. They have the clay puppet of Adam Driver.
What's his face that played
Twilight.
Anakin?
With versus Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say put him up against Anakin, the guy Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen. Yeah. That's actually.
I'm whinier than you are. No, I'm the whinier one. I don't like sand.
That writes itself, dude.
See?
Dude,
Moonves. Moonves would go against Weinstein. That would be kind of tongue in cheek, but anyway.
Harvey Weinstein versus Les Moonves.
That'd be great.
It writes itself.
Yeah. Well, I think they're gonna want more recognizable ones like
these two can't even get to the ring. They keep grabbing ass on the way there. Just not good sportsmanship.
They probably do like Bill Cosby versus Louis C.K. or somebody more recognizable.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd compare them to.
Yeah.
Gotta let Louis win that one.
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman versus Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
That's the only time I'd love to see Sarah Silverman kick somebody's ass, I think. I'm not the hugest Sarah Silverman fan. I don't hate her, but she just, I don't know. I know you don't really care for that much, do you, Rob?
No.
I know. I was gonna say,
neither one.
I'm not a fan. But yeah, Chris Evans versus Michael B. Jordan. The Human Torches go off. Andrew Garfield versus Tom Holland. Yeah, you guys got some good ones in here. J.J. Abrams versus Ryan Johnson. More like J.J. Abrams versus Spielberg would be kind of good one too.
Me.
Did they miss the Kardashians?
Me versus Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
I can't stand that motherfucker.
Johnny Depp versus himself. Johnny Depp's in the ring. Nobody's there with him, but we're pretty sure he's going to fuck himself up here before he leaves. He's drunk as hell, John. Yeah.
Brie Larson versus Gal Gadot.
Yeah, Brie Larson. That's another time I'd like to see Wonder Woman actually probably win. J.J. Abrams versus Gene Roddenberry.
Mikey Spock versus Miles Morales.
Let's see here.
Like I said, it just Wesley Snipes versus Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, that would be good.
I'd still like to see Mikey Spock versus Ray.
Battle the Mary Sue's square off.
Problem is, Mikey Spock's not that popular to even.
I know. No one knows
to go against Ray.
Well, sometimes they would throw somebody relatively obscure in there,
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
Oh, Katy Perry versus Miley Cyrus. That's a good one.
Didn't they do Carrot Top versus Gallagher?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that was one of the earlier ones.
That was a good one.
Yes, it was.
There's
like, who's Gallagher and who's Carrot Top?
I know. We're old, okay? I'm sorry.
We call it Mark Hamill versus Ryan Johnson.
Black Panther versus Black Panthers. The actual Black Panthers.
That's what they probably
Black Panther. Black Panther versus the Pink Panther.
There you go. And the Pink Panther wins.
Well, no, that would be the thing. You'd have Black Panther versus actual Panthers, and then the Pink Panther would come in and actually win. Because sometimes they would give they would have a person come in and win.
Tag, not tag team, but where they'd have them come and save. Like they
Eddie Murphy versus Trevor Noah. No, it's got to be Eddie would fuck shit up.
Eddie versus what's his face, the short guy, and the guy who's hosting the Oscars.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, yeah.
Versus Kevin Hart, and whoops his ass.
Kevin Hart is like a big advocate of physical fitness. Yeah. I mean, well, he's a comedian. He's got a lot of time during the day. I mean,
he's one of those guys. All right, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Been in trouble.
Well, don't get me wrong. No, I'm not that big a fan of Kevin Hart.
I'll say it. He's one of those guys like I knew in school because he's short. He's trying to compensate for it, so he always like lifts weights. And,
yeah, pretty much, yeah. But I got to hand it to him. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I mean, he is bringing. He is bringing awareness for a need for physical fitness to people in poor.
Oh yeah, my fat ass ain't got no room to talk. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I went on rollerblading actually before.
Yeah, you do more physical stuff. You're gonna die of a heart attack doing something physical.
I hope not.
And I am gonna sit here and just die of a heart attack. George Carlin versus Richard Pryor. Oh wow.
Yeah, wow.
I don't even want to see that because I just know that's like two of my fucking idols. I don't want to see who wins.
Yeah.
Who loses.
Maybe like Pryor versus who would be good? Mel Gibson versus Alec Baldwin. That would be a good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good one that you don't think of right offhand.
Bill Maher versus Stan Lee.
Yeah, but Stan's dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You do Star-Lord versus.
I've stopped anything before, but
Melissa McCarthy versus Kelly Marie Tran. Kelly Marie Tran seems like a very nice young lady, but at the same time, I'm sorry, but it's terrible. It was terrible. You were in a terrible movie with a terrible character.
Paul Feig versus Ryan Johnson. I think that's one we brought up before.
Yeah. Trevor Noah versus Bill Maher, the shitty hosts. Yeah.
Cat Williams versus Kevin Hart. You see, I used to like Cat Williams until he went crazy.
I would do R2-D2 versus BB-8, maybe.
Yeah, and kick BB-8's ass.
And then, the ringer would come in. It would be K2SO from Rogue One and blow both of them away.
Yeah.
Chucky versus Annabelle. Yes.
Yeah, that would be bad. Yeah. Leno versus Conan. Yeah.
Ooh.
That'd be good.
Bale versus Affleck. Yeah, that's a good one.
Bruce Jenner versus Caitlyn Jenner. Yes. That would be. Oh. Now you're talking.
You do Bale versus Affleck, but then you have Michael Keaton come in and kick both their ass.
Mm-hmm.
Shatner versus Chris Pine.
God.
Yeah.
Simpsons versus Family Guy. Yeah, that would be actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They had Beavis and Butthead versus who was it?
I thought they just had Beavis versus Butthead, right? Or Beavis and Butthead versus Bill and Ted, maybe?
No, it was something else. I can't remember who they went against.
Keaton versus Adam West.
Somebody out there I'll remember. Kevin Spacey versus Anthony Rapp.
Nimoy versus Pecker Spock.
I shouldn't laugh at that. Pecker Spock.
John Wick versus Keanu Reeves.
John
Wick versus Neo.
Yes.
And John Wick wins. The only person, see, Lelia Knight said it right. I'm sure right after before I did out there, but I just said it first. But you know,
it was Beavis versus Butthead Celebrity Deathmatch. Yeah, I'm watching. Butthead just shoved a pencil up Beavis's nose.
It's been a while since it's been a long ass time since I've seen it.
Cornholio's coming in.
Okay.
Bill and Ted versus Beavis and Butthead wouldn't be bad, no. Well, Freddy versus Jason, we got the real things. So.
Yeah. I think they might have done Pinhead versus Leatherface, though.
I think they did something like that.
John and Paul versus Mick and Keith.
Yeah. Mighty Boosh versus Flight of the Conchords. Too obscure.
A little bit.
Too obscure.
But anyway, so yeah, we've went on long enough about this.
Yeah. Well, look, there's yeah. We were sitting. There was a thing about Daredevil, like I'm bringing the timer back up.
Cast and crew react to the cancellation.
Yeah. But there was a thing about how Daredevil was actually the 4th most popular show on Netflix.
Yeah, well, and that goes with our report. Even though there is still some people who want to go under this strange theory that Disney cancel them. It makes 0 sense for Disney to cancel them.
Yeah. Well, they want to move it all to Disney Plus.
They can't. No, they don't. For one, they can't, because I'm sure it's contractually obligated to stay on Netflix. They probably can't even shop it around to other places.
No.
The only thing they probably have a right to do is put those actors in movies as those characters, and that's it. And of course, I'm going off of just knowing what their contracts usually consist of, like with the Spider-Man deal and all that.
I want to see Vincent D'Onofrio appear in a Marvel movie as Kingpin.
There's always that possibility. But it makes 0 sense for Disney to do that because, first of all, they're just turning down money. And yes, granted, they did say, or Bob Iger did say, I should say, to be more specific. Bob Iger did say that, they do know that they're going to lose some money up front from a lot of the deals that they would get normally from, licensing out their material for streaming.
Yeah.
But that was a loss leader in their eyes that would pay off in the long run. But the Netflix deal was not going to go anywhere. They said that plain and simple because it couldn't. Because I'm sure they have like a 7-8 year deal or whatever, maybe even a 10-year deal.
Yeah. And they did say that all the episodes of Daredevil will stay on Netflix.
So it's not like it's going to benefit them in any way to cancel the show. And it helps them, and that's why Netflix canceled the show.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what you think of Disney, it's just Netflix doing another power play. And then I think it's kind of funny what Warner Brothers pulled on their ass this week with Friends and holding it for ransom, basically. To see that shit.
Yeah.
I hate the show. Yeah, but I think it's kind of funny.
I'm not a fan of Friends anymore. I used to like it, and I'm like, now it's just like tiresome.
But no, I just think it's funny they built him out of what was it, $100 million?
Yeah, 100 mil.
What? You just gave Warner Brothers a buttload of money for nothing. Like, yeah, they care about Friends being on their services, but they've got tons of other shit that's not that big in the comparison of the grand scheme of things. So that's the same thing here, and that's why I was bringing it up. To the comparison, these Netflix shows were not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Disney or Netflix for that matter. So the whole matter is just fucking stupid. Yeah. And to think that Disney would want to cancel them is bogus. And like you were just starting to say, Rob, the fact that Daredevil was getting rave ratings and reviews makes 0 sense for Netflix to cancel it too. But they did it just to say fuck you to Disney.
Well, Tom, no one told you life was going to be this way.
Right. And Lokta brings up a point. Could it be that Netflix is not getting returns that they were expecting from these deals? That's a plausibility, but outside of, with Daredevil, you can't make that argument, though. They're definitely getting a return on investment there.
Oh, yeah.
And a few of the other shows. So, worst case scenario was just Iron Fist and Luke Cage were the ones that didn't really pay off.
But, actually, do we want to talk about Shang Chi or not?
You can. I think Andre's planning on talking about it at some point, but
I just want to know, just really quick. I just want to touch on this really quick. Who's gonna go see this movie? I mean, okay, the idea.
Who's making it?
Marvel.
Well, Marvel. Then you get a few people going.
They announced Shang Chi as a.
They can put some as long as it's in the MCU.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to be just a Shang-Chi movie. They're going to put somebody else in it with him.
Well, the idea is
whoever in Shang, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we didn't. We didn't talk about this, actually. Hollywood Reporter says how Shang-Chi could be Marvel's next Black Panther. Let's not go crazy now, okay? Deadline, Marvel's first Asian.
Yeah, that's setting it up to a
film.
little pretty high bar there.
But let me just take a quick gander at hey Hollywood, we just let you cast Shang-Chi. Oh, shut up. Let me just now you got it. Now okay, Inkstone. Oh, who the hell are these guys? They're nobodies. Let me just take a quick look at Deadline. Shang-Chi, Marvel's first Asian. Am I? I thought I muted the thing. Shang-Chi, Marvel's first Asian film superhero franchise. Dave Callahan scripting search on for director of Asian descent. Oh yeah, because only an Asian person can direct a movie about Asian people. Exclusive Marvel.
Why don't they just hire the best person for the job and not like that? That seems awfully
because you can't get Quentin Tarantino to direct this. I don't know. I'm just making shit up.
Because you have to get those woke points.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive Marvel Studios is fast tracking Shang-Chi to be its first superhero tentpole franchise with an Asian protagonist. The studio has sent Chinese American scribe David Callahan to write the screenplay, and Deadline hears Marvel's already looking at a number of Asian and Asian American directors who want to do something as potentially monumental as was accomplished in Marvel's first viable Best Picture candidate, Black Panther. Well, can we please get off that this Black Panther is a Best Picture candidate? I did see I didn't see.
If it wouldn't have got nominated for a Golden Globe, yes.
Okay, I didn't see the movie. I saw the Mahler take on it though. And there's just a few things in there that are unforgivable.
Yeah, I saw Mahler's video on it too.
Anyway, that film tied into African American cultures and the sensibility of nearly all black cast with
in Black Panther.
Well, Black Panther, yeah, with
unforgivable
a black
in it, like what?
Like the rhinos.
Oh, okay, I guess. Not that big of a deal. They're in one scene, two maybe.
Yeah, but the other thing too is like you have one thing I can't get over is you have all this technology. You're the most technologically advanced society in the world, and your army is still fighting with spears. You think someone would
not exactly.
I know not exactly, but at the same time, a spear. If you're trying to use a spear as some sort of like a projectile weapon, like a gun, it's gonna be terribly inaccurate.
I think the two things so far are very minimalistic in the movie.
But anyway, and
I'm not even trying to stick up for it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and nobody is just gonna just stumble onto Wakanda, really.
It is shielded.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I believe the way it's presented is there's like a version of Wakanda that people see and know, and it's like the rest of Africa. Mm-hmm. But the real one is undercover. Mm. But I get what point where you're saying, yeah. But yeah. Well, that's the struggle of the movie though, too, Rob, is that for generations and generations and generations, they thought it was best not to meddle in the outside world, hence the outside world would meddle with them. Mm. But that's kind of the whole point that Warmonger brings up, and Black Panther has to admit he's not completely wrong, is that they can't just sit there forever.
Yeah.
And not, not just reveal themselves to the world, but not share their technology and all that kind of shit.
Yeah. But the other, like I said, another thing too is, the most technologically advanced society also has determines their king by trial by combat.
Right. Well, Leela, actually, there's a real easy way to do that. She says, I'm assuming it's a she, trying to explain to your 80-year-old grandmother about Black Panther comic book when she only knows about Black Panther's movement. Well, the comic book was a result of the movement in a way. Well, obviously, it's where they got the idea for the name.
Yeah.
But he was also kind of a
Well, anyway, let's get back to Shang-Chi. After Marvel Studios' unparalleled success.
That's how uninteresting Shang-Chi is.
Yeah. that we started talking about Black Panther. Anyway, many wonder how Kevin Feige's next iterations of superhero franchise will distinguish themselves. Clearly, an important theme will be ethnic diversity and inclusion. in front and behind of the camera. Oh boy. Like I said, well, Deadline's just trying to score woke points. Callahan has strong credentials in the superhero franchise building realms, and his own experiences as Chinese American will inform the Shang Chi movie mythology, sources said. His recent work includes co-writing with Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns the upcoming DC Warner Brothers sequel to Wonder Woman 1984. He's writing Sony's animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2. Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves, please. He's also writing a draft of Zombieland 2, which begins production in January, and created and produced Amazon's recent action comedy series, Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
That's starring funny.
Yeah, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Callahan also created the Expendables franchise, as well as the story for Legendary's Godzilla's reboot. He's got 2 comedies. Netflix. Callahan wrote the blacklisted dark comedy caper script Jackpot, which Will Gluck will direct. He wrote, yada, yada, yada. Oh, and he's producing with Channing Tatum, Fillmore, Chris Miller, and Archer's Adam Reeve and Matt Thompson.
Zombieland 2, hasn't that been in production as long as the Avatar sequels?
I think so.
Yeah. But listen, Shang-Chi was an obscure character from the 70s, created by Steve Englehart and Jim Starlin.
Really? I thought everybody knew who it was.
I've been reading Marvel comics. I was reading Marvel comics regularly, all throughout even the 80s. Yeah, I've never heard of Shang-Chi. I know, great. Okay, great. A lot of people have never heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. But at the same time...
Yeah, but you're a comic book fan, and you've never heard of this character.
How? And I'm a Marvel fan. And how are you going to make this work? Honestly. Yeah, if you're just going to make it a straight up martial
fan, ain't you?
Was that?
You're also kind of like a kung fu fan, ain't you? Like Bruce Lee and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you're going to make it a straight up martial arts film, okay, fine. And Monday Matt was saying about how they may try to tie in the street level heroes to Shang-Chi.
That's an angle I hadn't really thought about. That may be why it's being announced. Well, what didn't you kind of say he was one of the Defenders, or at least he hung out with a bunch of them?
He was hanging out with Iron Fist and Luke Cage. But at the same time, at the same time, you can introduce the street level heroes through a character like Moon Knight, and a lot of people actually do want a Moon Knight movie. That's the difference here. Moon Knight is kind of like Marvel's Batman, except he's
Well, you're making me start to fucking wonder if maybe this Shang-Chi wasn't meant to not be a movie.
It meant to be a Netflix series?
Well, the next Netflix series that never happened because of this whole fucking deal. So like, fuck that. And they just backed off on that one and never
I'm thinking you're right, yeah.
And if it's a possibility, maybe does it specify if it's going to be a theatrical run, or is this going to be one of the ones that's going straight to Disney streaming?
It says faster. All it says is they're a movie tentpole franchise.
Then it might be theater then, but but yeah, I think you're kind of onto something there.
I think this might be. I don't see this. Like I said, I don't see this working.
Just speculating.
Yeah, we're just spitballing here. But
this might be so obscure that it's good though. Like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, if they use this as a springboard to bring in the Netflix Marvel characters, that's kind of cool too, because at least they know that the fan base is there. If you see Daredevil show up and stuff like that, then that might be with what the selling point will be. That's why it doesn't have to be a major character.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy had the advantage of being an ensemble cast, though. That's right.
Well, that had a lot more going for it. Yeah. But that's one of the only Marvel movies to where I can say that it wasn't just the Marvel branding that helps that movie. It just helped that movie would have probably done well, whether it was a Marvel movie or not, because it sold itself.
Yeah.
It sold it really well.
Yeah.
Even though my cousin's pissed at all of us. She
Why?
still says, you guys said it was such a funny movie, and I'm crying within the first 3 minutes, you fuckers.
But that's
because his mom died and shit.
Yeah.
So she's all pissed off at us. And then of course I said, well, it's the opposite way around in the second movie. Instead of crying at the beginning, you're crying at the end. There, see, it evens itself out.
Bookmarks.
But that's kind of the that's kind of the thing, though. I mean, that's where it draws you in, is that it shows you this is the worst day of Peter Quill's life, and he gets abducted by aliens.
Well, yeah, and it also does tie into the end of the movie too, and
yeah. Yeah, fun, happy movie starts with Cancer Mom. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's one thing to where, like, the way, especially that movie, and then the movie cold starts too, which is something Marvel does once in a while, where you don't even get a logo. So, like, even though we kind of know the movie's starting just from being, whatever, but it's just that happens. So at first you're like, is this the movie or is this? Oh, this is the movie. Oh, wow, yeah, because you're expecting like goofiness and funniness and bright and Star Wars kind of stuff, and you getting mom dying of cancer, and then you're like, what the fuck is this? But it pays off.
Yeah, Ken Jack Ben. They say he's the first Asian superhero where to throw Sunfire under the bus. Yeah, yeah. Sunfire was around since the 60s.
But think about it, though. I think you're right, because look about it. They were bitching how much when Iron Fist came out. Why didn't you make him Asian? So they're like, well, we do have an Asian character.
Shang Chi.
Iron Fist is not doing well, so why don't we transition into this? And then, like you said, all the shit hit the fan, and yeah.
Do you think this will go to Disney Plus first?
I'm wondering. That's where I was saying. Did they specify if it was a theatrical movie or if it was going to go to Disney Plus? But you said tentpole, so
it's a movie tentpole. So who knows? But this Deadline loves to get ahead of itself.
Right. It doesn't sound like there's as many specifics there as we'd like to have.
No.
Lilia, I don't know how, I'm not saying the name right. Lilia Knight. Why can't Hollywood get the Phoenix Saga right?
Because Hollywood, they just want to go to the big Firebird. They want to cut right to Big Firebird. They don't want to spend any time with the S&M cult. They don't want to spend any time with doing the whole story about Jean Grey's repressed sexuality as a metaphor for the Phoenix Power. All they want to do is get to the big fireworks show. That's why. And there are directors. And again, you have directors like Simon Kinberg. No. We can't do that because that's not what the audience want. And I know.
Well, that was going to be my answer, and you stole it. Simon Kinberg. That's why.
Simon Kinberg's a moron.
Because they let the same guy do it twice, basically.
Yeah. Can we call Simon Kinberg a retardigrade?
Ooh.
Yes, you can.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Leela said, wait, what? Wait, what to what?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? I mean, wait, what in reference? I'm so glad I'm tired of superhero genre. Well, yeah, Leela, you got to read the X-Men. You go pick up.
Well, didn't they cover it okay in the series? Not
yeah. Go pick it up.
It's hard to adapt. First of all,
yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, go pick up X-Men: The Dark Phoenix Saga at Barnes and Noble or somewhere. Go pick up a trade paperback.
Thank you.
Yeah,
she did phonetically. Lelia.
Okay, Lelia. Got your money, Lelia.
That's not how that goes.
Okay, you're right. It's not.
Yeah, you're way off there.
Sounds better than Patty Boyd Harrison.
Well, no, that's not what we're talking about.
But anyway,
you weren't even on the right key or anything.
Okay,
I like you don't know that fucking song.
I'm like the Replacements.
You could probably play the fucking riff. I bet.
I don't know. I've never tried.
You never tried? Wow.
No,
it's not that difficult.
But like I said, there's a whole undercurrent of a lot of things going on in the Dark Phoenix Saga and the Phoenix Saga. I mean, that they do not want to touch. I don't know if they think that the audience is stupid, or if it's just subject matter that they feel will get.
Probably,
yeah, they'll feel they'll get an R rating. I mean, Storm is tied to a big. She's restrained in a leather bikini at one point. And Jean has got this leather corset with thigh high boots, and she has a whip, and she's
Why aren't we getting this movie?
I don't know, but it sounds like a hell of a lot better one than ones we got.
I'd watch that.
No, well,
we know you'd watch that.
And Ken Jack Ben brings up a point. Why not give the design? We'll probably get the X-Men design with Disney. They'll probably get closer to the 90s standard type of X-Men design. But don't expect them to really dive into any of the really heavy-duty shit. I doubt that.
I should have time index this as X-Men discussion. But,
yeah, right.
Well, I'll just Shang-Chi / X-Men. That's all. Make that note. So there we go. But
then we get into X-Men. We just started X-Men. So,
but we were saying about how I hate to think that Marvel is just gonna try to score woke points now, because as soon as they do that, I mean, I can see a lot of people turning on them. And actually, I was I was responding to people on Twitter, and they were saying about, oh well, diversity is a good thing. They were saying diversity is a good thing. Diversity is great. Most of the people, to most people around the world, it's normal. I'm like, I said, just go on Comic-Con and take a look where diversity has gotten Marvel. It's not diversity. It's not diversity. It's taking things. It's just screwing up established characters and with crappy stories. That's what they're doing.
Right. Well, yeah, Michael Wilk reports right too. They do think that the audience is stupid, but that's nothing new. The studios have thought the audiences are stupid for a long time.
Yeah.
And they did a lot in the 90s too. That's why movies in the 90s are so corny.
Yep.
Because they're like, you gotta explain this or the idiots aren't gonna understand.
Or you get
they were really just explaining it to the CEOs probably because they didn't understand the movies.
No.
Right.
No. That's what the audience wants there, kiddo.
Something was lost in the 90s. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great movies in the 90s, but in the studio system, subtlety was completely lost.
Well, let me tell you, you get it and I get it, but it's not going to work with the public. Kabish?
The decade of the studio note. Because I didn't hear that much in the 80s with like the studio notes. It really, really became a problem in the 90s.
Not really, because I even did it before I was part of Midnight's Edge when I first started this channel here. After I worked on my other one, when I started doing stuff that's basically like Midnight's Edge, and that's why I got this job. But I did a documentary about the history of Hollywood and how it's kind of repeating itself over and over and over again in this kind of pattern. And at one point, what happened was everything got so overbloated and big that they couldn't afford it anymore. All the moguls were either dying or selling off, and who they were selling it to were mostly beverage companies and things of that sort. And these guys didn't know how to make movies. They knew how to sell shit. They didn't know how to make movies. So what they would do is get guys like Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and, I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Well, he's one of them too, but
Zemeckis.
Well, Zemeckis is another one, but there's a specific guy and I can't think of his damn name now. He did like shit. Anyway,
he did that one thing with the guy.
Well, there's like 100 other people I can think of. Anyway, they went to these guys who were auteurs. I'm like, you guys know how to make movies. Make us some movies, and we'll sell them. We know how to sell shit. You guys know how to make movies. It was a win-win concept, and that's how guys like Spielberg and all this got to the point where they were able to do things the way they did because they were trusted. And now we've gotten to this point where this, like in the 90s, and that's where it started again, where the studios got bigger and bigger and bigger again, and they started sticking their nose in more again like they did back in the day. And because when the studios first started out, they were really rigid. You had the heads of the studios and all the producers, the actors and directors, and everybody down to the craft services guy were all owned by the studio. it was like a television production more so than it was. It is like it is now. It's because of these beverage companies and these other auteurs coming in and creating what they did and the way they did that made Hollywood so great in the 70s and 80s. And then we just kind of got back into this old pattern again in the 90s.
Well, remember, like I said, I keep pointing out to that interview with Frank Zappa. You know, all the experimental music in the 60s, in the late 60s and early 70s.
That's pretty much the analogy. Yep.
Yeah. You know, what happened? It wasn't the hip young guys, it was the old guys with the suits and the cigars and feet up on a desk. I don't know what this is.
Right.
Who knows? Let's take a chance, see if it sells. And then when it would sell, all right, you know, it sold 1 million copies. All right, okay, let's do it again. Get me a hippie, you know. And then they hire a hippie, and you know they don't trust him to do anything except bring the coffee and get the mail. All right, he showed up for work on time. He brought the mail in. Let's give him a real job. Let's make him an A&R man. And then eventually the hippie's got his feet up on the desk, and he's saying, no, we can't take a chance on that because that's not what the audience wants. And I know. And I'm like, isn't that what guys like Alex Kurtzman are doing right now?
Yeah.
Not them per se, but the studios, and those guys are yes men.
Yeah.
And we talked about this the other night. And that's, you know, that's pretty much what it is. I don't want to sit there and say, oh, they're these horrible people, because they're not probably horrible people in real life, but that's what they're there for. They do what they're told.
But anyway, like people like Amy Pascal and Kathleen Kennedy were those hip young executives at one point that were bringing in the coffee and getting the mail.
Exactly. To that aspect, yes. Those type of people, when it comes to Kennedy, Pascal, John Peters is another good example. These people who think they know the business better than they do just because they managed to have 1 or 2 hits.
Yeah. Like I said, and like I was
Kennedy on the other hand has a few more hits, but yeah.
Well, like I said, but she was in the right. Her career came down to timing.
Yeah, lowest common denominator, slurring peanut. That's
true. And like I said, you know, like I keep pointing out, it wasn't a hip young executive that found George Lucas. It was Alan Ladd Jr., a guy who'd been in the business in the old Hollywood system. He just said, you know, I don't understand it. Okay, you know, you got an old man, a young kid, you got a guy in a spaceship, you got a princess, you got a talking dog, and a guy in a helmet. Okay, I don't understand, but you made American Graffiti, so okay, anything you want to do is all right by me.
Right, and that's to a point how it works in some circles, or at least used to. Now you fail up, but Wilk Report says we're overdue for another Hollywood Renaissance. I think we've already had it. We're kind of in the middle of it, and it's not going to get any better than this.
Marvel's
pretty much it.
Is about as close as we're getting to a Hollywood Renaissance.
Star Wars Force Awakens is kind of a nostalgic boom, and that carried through into Halloween. So we're kind of in the middle of that right now a little bit. And that's kind of what the 80s were, 70s and 80s. We're kind of a nostalgia boom. It was these guys taking old ideas and making them new again. Look at Star Wars. Look at Jaws. All these movies. They're the old 50s, you know, horror B movies. That's what Jaws is the monster movie. You know, Star Wars is the old 30s and 40s serials with, you know, Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. It's, you know, it's the same thing Tarantino did, you know, 10, 15 years later with, you know, his movies, and started doing anyway. You know,
let me tell you,
ideas and making them new again.
I'm gonna tell you, I love Jaws. Oh my god, it to this day it still scares the shit out of me.
It's probably my favorite movie of all time, because Empire's kind of just fallen back a little bit just because of the whole Star Wars thing. And Jaws, no, you know, they're not making new Jaws movies anymore, and they did the worst they can do with Jaws Revenge. So. But you know, it's just
Jaws the Revenge. This time it's personal.
But you have all the crappy knockoff shark movies now, though.
Right. But at least then, though, Jaws was original, even though it had similar ideas to a 50s monster movie. It was still a different idea. It wasn't a remake of something.
No, it wasn't like a giant shark. It wasn't a radioactive shark. Like, I mean, it was a big shark, but it wasn't like, you know, indescribably giant, like a, you know, like the killer mantis or something. There are 2 stories tall.
Yes, Tyler, I've read the book, but the author hated the movie for different reasons than because the book was different than the movie. He hated the movie because of what it did to sharks.
Yeah,
he feels responsible that in his part and the movie's part that he basically brought great whites to the point of extinction almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Second Man Blade says Rocco's Modern Life came out on DVD.
It did.
Okay. But Wilk Report, if Marvel's as close we're going to get to another Hollywood renaissance and Hollywood is doomed. Yeah, Hollywood is doomed.
Well, they're getting overbloated again. They're getting just like they did in the 60s. But the problem is we're not going to have a revolution like we did in the 80s again. Or like we did back in, the 30s and 40s when it first happened, when you had, guys like Ernest Schoedsack and all that kind of stuff, and doing King Kong and Wizard of Oz and Citizen Kane. And, that was kind of the first renaissance where they let these crazy guys go out and make these fucking expensive big movies, but they made money. That's the thing, is they're making the expensive movies, but only a few of them make money now.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's getting lopsided. It used to be, they'd make 2 or 3 big movies and the rest of them be smaller, middle of the road movies. It's complete opposite now. All these companies make a buttload of big movies and only a few middle of the road movies that hopefully hit and pay the bills.
Let me ask you though, do you think you could make the Dark Phoenix saga if you were to make I don't want to say a page to screen adaptation, but if you really to do the Dark Phoenix saga right, you'd have to do it. You couldn't do it in one movie. Do you think it would work as 2, maybe 3?
Yeah, you'd probably want to do it as a trilogy, and I don't think Disney plans on touching it, or they wouldn't have let Fox, or at least think about going forward with their version. As far as I know, it's getting released. So,
do you realize what a dick Scott Summers was? I mean, he loses Jean Grey, love of his life, and then he meets another girl who looks exactly like her. And then he leaves her for Jean Grey when she comes back. What a prick. Oh, man. Poor guy, though.
Well, and that's just it. Lelia says, I mean, The Lion King, Aladdin, goddamn it, Dumbo, I'm sick of it. Well, that's just that they have no new ideas. And instead of trying something similar but different in a different way with a new idea, they're just going to try and keep doing the old same shtick. Yeah. They want to play it way too safe.
And yeah. And mark my words. I mean, like I said, and everyone says no, they won't do it. The fact that they actually did fill all the parts. At some point, we will see more adventures with the original characters from Star Wars.
It's plausible. Oh yeah, we'll see other adventures, but I don't think they're going to go to the point where they're going to remake the movies. I think
I pray to God no. But I could see. I could if. I think Kathleen Kennedy is gonna retire after her contract is up.
Oh, I think she's done. Yeah.
If she, let's just say, hold on, Salute Pina. Madeline Pryor was Chris Claremont trying to sunset Cyclops because Claremont had no idea what to do with him, but Marvel told him to cut that out. Okay. Yeah. Madeline Pryor was hot too. So Mastermind almost worked his mojo, and he was trying to convince them she was the Dark Phoenix reincarnate too at some point.
Well, just to go back to what I was saying about Hollywood, they've kind of flip-flopped. They've done a 180 since it was back in the day. Back in the day, it used to be they didn't do a lot of sequels. They didn't do a lot of remakes. Because people have already seen that. They're not going to go see the same thing again. That was the idea. They want to see something new. They want to see something fresh. Now it's the absolute opposite. It's like, what's this? This is new. This is different. People aren't going to go to see that. They want to see something they know. They want to see something that they already can trust.
Something familiar, yeah.
Yeah, something familiar. And yeah, it's like completely opposite of what it used to be.
I blame the safe space generation.
Well, and part of it is because sequels started to make more money.
Yeah.
See, because back in the day, even 20 years ago, sequels rarely made more money than the original. And not only that, they were lucky to make a third, if not half, of what the original made. And that was the investment you could make. You knew you could kind of bank on making at least half of what the original made usually. So they kind of knew going in. And then all of a sudden, sequels started making more money than the originals. Terminator 2 was probably one of the biggest ones where it first started, where the sequels really started making a hell of a lot more than the originals. Probably that was one of the first ones I remember.
Tyler Bosch said when sequels become so prominent, probably in the 80s, probably it started 80s and 90s.
Because I mean, yeah, you had a lot of horror movies, had a lot of sequels. Star Wars was kind of a thing, but that was the first time you really had a major franchise like that with sequels. Before that, you had Planet of the Apes, and that was about it. Sure, you had movies with sequels here and there, and you had series here and there. Before that, though, the only prominent ones I can think of were like the horror movies, like
Star Trek,
Dracula horror movies. And, well, Star Trek did because of Star Wars.
Yeah,
that was a big push there. But then it was like I said, like Terminator 2, like really changed things.
Yeah,
I feel like that was a point.
Yeah, because then you had Predator 2 around the same time.
Well, not just that, it was like I said, it was the first sequel that was not only bigger than the first movie, but like way bigger.
My God, Bones, what have I done? You did what you always do. Turn death into a fighting chance to live. So I love that. I love that line. You did what you.
But no, yeah, back then, no, they weren't very common, Tyler. That's what I was getting to. It very rarely had a series of films.
Oh, Superman. Superman was another one I got.
Pink Panther here and there, stuff like that in the 60s.
Godfather.
Lampoons. Lampoon Vacation.
That was still even getting into the 80s stuff. Yeah. Like I said, you didn't see a lot of it until the 80s, especially late 80s, early 90s. And then when Terminator 2, it was like everything got sequels.
Well, no, it's just like it was only horror and science fiction.
Yeah, really.
How many years did it take for Back to the Future to get a sequel?
5 years.
4 or 5?
And that wasn't even planned that way. It wasn't meant to be a sequel send-off at the end. The to be continued did not exist until the home video.
Yeah.
That they put on there because they knew then they were making a sequel. But when the movie first came out, it was like, you had stuff like Police Academy and certain comedies duos,
Airplane
and groups here and there, but it was never a big thing. That studios generally did not boast sequels. It wasn't like their big deal. And then actually Godfather 2 was probably one of the first sequels to ever be taken seriously.
What about the Bond movies, though? Those were more of a series, though, than a sequel?
Yeah, they're more of a...
Well, that was an exception back then.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's very few. You had Sherlock series here and there, and where actors would come back. But those are almost kind of like the same thing as like the monster movies to a point. It was a real, select market that you had that we just keep selling them, like almost like Westerns. I mean, Bond is almost like a genre unto itself.
Yes, it is. Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah, we're getting way off now.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it's time we should wrap. We should wrap this up. So anyway,
yes,
I will say though, speaking of 80s movies, I saw Airplane actually again this weekend. Still great. I love Airplane.
Yeah.
You know what pisses me off is I bought Airplane. And I don't even know why I opened it, because I rarely open a movie unless I watch it. I opened it for some dumb reason. I don't even remember. And then I seen that had both Airplane 1 and 2 in it. And I was so pissed. It was for the same price I paid for Airplane 1.
So anyway, if you're pissed like Tom is that he opened Airplane.
Yes. For no good reason. I don't remember why.
Yeah, Airplane probably wouldn't play well nowadays.
Oh, fuck no. And somebody else brought up Police Academy, Airplane, Blazing Saddles would never be made today. Police Academy maybe, but it'd be very sanitized.
You'd never have the shower scene.
No, and I like
not just that, you wouldn't have none of the racial humor or the stereotype humor at all. Yeah. It's not just all racial, it's different body types, it's different sexes, it's everybody's fair game in that movie.
Yeah. So anyway, if you think Airplane is fair game, if you think Airplane makes fun of people, it's fair game. If you like what we do here, click subscribe, click the bell icon. That way you're notified of all the latest updates. Go over to the main channel, click subscribe, click the bell icon there. And Random, you tell them about your channel.
I'm a huge Police Academy fan. I hate Star Trek Discovery, and I rant about things.
Yes, you
do.
And
Morality 124 says, sent you something on that. CBS lawyer. Oh, excuse me. About a case where got like the hiccups there. Where CBS was suing over public domain Andy Griffith episodes.
Oh boy. Me. Yeah. So anyway, if you really like what we do and you want to find out more, head on over to Patreon. Patreon members can get all kinds of bonuses, early updates for new videos, uncut audio, behind the edge making of videos. See the story about how Midnight's Edge came to be. You can get bloopers, outtakes, lost episodes, and more. You can support the channel for as little as $1 a month for the price of a cup of coffee a day. So maybe a gas station cup of coffee.
Actually, a hell of a lot less than that.
Yeah. But as I always say, if you don't have the means to support us through Patreon, click subscribe. That's okay. Click subscribe. Click the bell icon. Share with your friends because we cannot do this without you. Isn't that right, Tom?
That is correct, sir. That was one of those times where I thought I had myself muted, or I didn't think I had myself muted. I went to mute myself because I was coughing, and I ended up unmuting. But yes, we do updates as much as possible. We do have a lot of stuff planned for that. We, of course, apologize. Things have been so lackluster lately on every end. Rob and I have both been sick. Andre's been busy as hell all over the world and stuff, doing his thing.
A lot of good all that orange juice I drank did me.
I'm still sick. It sucks, but yeah, we won't get into that.
Get your flu shot, people.
Yeah, I wish it was that simple. But anyway.
So anyway, like I said, shout outs to our friends, Overlord DVD, Dicker Van Doomcock, check his channel out. Professor Geek, check his channel out. Who else? Ren over at Ren Rants, check her channel out.
Everybody, check them out.
Gary over
at Fun Time.
Egotastic Fun Time. Gary,
check out our news brief from earlier. Share it, share it. Please share it.
Yes.
It seems like the algorithm doesn't like these videos for some reason. So.
Yes. And if every time you like one of our videos, a CBS executive cries.
I shared it. I shared it on Twitter. I added the writer's room.
Yes. So anyway,
I'm probably blocked by them or muted or something.
The guys over at Red Shirts, check them out too. We don't send enough love their way. We got to get them on the show, actually. Red Shirts.
Yeah, I should have tagged them in that earlier.
Yeah, tag them. Yeah. So, pound me too, Harvey Cthulhu. Big shout out to Harvey Cthulhu. So anyway, all right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If we don't see you, have a good weekend. If you don't, no drinking, no driving. Take care of yourselves when you're out celebrating holidays, and we will catch you next time.